This video is made possible by donations to the United States Lighthouse Society from people like you.
Point. So again, thank you all so much for being part of this. I know there's a lot of you who've attended these events in the past, a lot of familiar names, the usual suspects. I mean that in a good way, but always great to be talking to all of you. And for those of you who are new to this, obviously this is a presentation of the United States Lighthouse Society. And we're going to be talking to people with the Chesapeake chapter of the U.S. Lighthouse Society tonight, which is really exciting. And for people who don't know, my name is Jeremy D'Entremont. If I look distracted, it's because I'm still admitting people here. Jeremy D'Entremont, I'm the historian for the U.S. Lighthouse Society. I host the Society's podcast, Lighthearted. I'll say more about that before we're done tonight. And we've done quite a few of these Zoom events. We try to do them every month. We don't always succeed at that, but always a pleasure. So I'm going to get right into things here because, again, we do have a lot we want to get in before sunset here. So our subject tonight is Thomas Point Shoal Lighthouse in Chesapeake Bay in Annapolis, Maryland. And it is an absolutely phenomenal lighthouse. I think one of the most interesting ones in the country. It is celebrating its 150th anniversary this year. It was built in 1875. I think we're going to be hearing more about that. It is a National Historic Landmark. It is the only cottage-style screw-pile lighthouse in its original location, not just on Chesapeake Bay, but in the world, as far as I know. So it's really quite unique and important historically. And the restoration there is absolutely incredible. The picture behind me that I'm using as a background is a picture I took last year when I was there in May of 2024. And our host tonight, John Potvin, took me out from his home along with the photographer Pete Lero. And you can see we had a gorgeous sunset and it was just phenomenal. I'd say it was one of my peak lighthouse experiences. So I've thanked John a few times for that, but thank you again, John, for that evening. It was fantastic. So again, I think we better get right into things. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to John. So when we start out here, this obviously is live, and it's kind of like the days of live TV where you don't know 100% exactly what's going to happen, but that's a good thing. It's part of the fun. So John is joining us from the lighthouse, but he's starting out in the boat there at the dock at the lighthouse. So he's going to start there and then move into the lighthouse. It's a little windy outside, so we decided in the boat is better than outside to start out. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to John. So let me say a little bit before I do that. John Potvin is the manager of Thomas Point Shoal Lighthouse, and he has really led that effort in recent years, has done absolutely an incredible job. Some of you might know that Henry Gonzalez, who is now the president of the U.S. Lighthouse Society, kind of held that role for quite a few years, and Henry had a lot to do with all the good things that have happened there too. But John does a phenomenal job, and he's going to introduce, I think, some other special guests as well. So John, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy, and welcome everybody to Thomas Point Shoal Lighthouse. We're on the tour boat right now, and with me in the tour boat is Captain Howard Lewis. He's over here on my shoulder. Say hi, Captain.
Hey there, folks. Captain Howard Lewis, and I've been running the tour boat, and I've been doing preservation work out here since 2004. So, it's quite an honor to be doing this.
And then my videographer today is Pork Chop. Hey, Pork Chop, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing? Good to be out on the lighthouse tonight.
And then we're shaking her a little bit here because it's pretty rough out here on the boat. But here's David Seitz, a local phenom. He's a fantastic photographer. He's been on the water for 751 consecutive days and taken probably over 50,000 pictures, perhaps, of the Thomas Point Shoal.
800,000 pictures.
800,000 pictures of this lighthouse. That's amazing. And then right behind him is Natasha. Natasha is one of our docents, and she's got the distinguished job of being an an author as well who wrote a book. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. You want to hold the book up for a second? This is Drew's Grand Adventure.
If it doesn't
What is
work
Drew all
out,
about?
that's fine.
Drew is a coyote. And I'm going to ask David to talk a little bit about Drew and tell us a little bit about how he came up with the idea for Drew. David?
Hello, everyone. We had a big bird problem on the dock out here, so we'd have to scrub it down every day before the tours, and we do tours on the weekends. And a buddy of mine, Drew Payne, on a charter boat, who I happened to meet right out here at the lighthouse, he called me one day and said, "Hey, I got an answer to your problem with the bird problem." And he had gone down to the Carolinas to do some charter fishing down there. And when he pulled in, there were coyote decoys all over the dock. And he said, "What's up with the decoys on the dock?" And they said, "That took care of our bird problem." So sure enough, the pretty much the next day, I believe John had bought a coyote decoy and came out and put it on the dock. And down the road, we had a tropical storm Debbie come through, and it tore the whole dock off of the lighthouse with Drew on it, and it disappeared about 7 miles down the bay next to the Bay Bridge. So the Department of Natural Resources called me and said, "Hey, David, you all missing a coyote?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, it's on the dock and it's down here. You need to do something with it." I said, "Okay." So we went down, a friend of mine, Mark Finelli, and I went down, and we got Drew off of the dock, and we tied up the dock to a barge that was out there. And then I had Drew on my boat. So that's how his grand adventure started, because the whole summer I took him everywhere. He was on the 74-foot schooners. He was on the Towboat US boat. He was boat docking competitions. It was, he made the rounds the whole time. And that's how Natasha got the idea for the book.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, David.
Yeah.
So Natasha, come over here and tell us what you did with this book.
So, hello everybody. I had been following David on Facebook for quite a while, and I followed this whole story from the day that the dock was washed off the lighthouse, followed Drew's adventures, and then I came up with the idea for a children's book, ran it by John. He talked to David, they loved the idea, and we partnered for the book. And David's beautiful photos are featured in the storybook along with my illustrations. And it is a true story of David's grand adventure on the Chesapeake Bay. So this is again the book, and you can see it's got David's gorgeous photographs in it, along with my illustrations. And then we have a coloring book as well for the kids, so they can go on their own adventure with Drew. And I am so proud of the book and the coloring book and everything that it's done for the lighthouse. So it's just been a wonderful project.
So I might add that we actually are the recipient of all the proceeds from this book sale. So Thomas Point Shoal Lighthouse has benefited greatly from the sale of this book. We've sold 350 copies at this point.
We're up over 450.
Or 450 now, so
Yeah.
it's incredible. So we're very proud of this. It took care of the seagull problem. So we tried bird spiders, we tried bird spikes, we tried bird enunciators. Nothing has worked as effectively as Drew. So if you're at a lighthouse and you've got a seagull problem, I really strongly recommend going to Amazon and buying a coyote decoy, because it's worked great for us. Now what we're going to do is leave the cabin here. We're going to go out into the lighthouse. We're going to take you on a virtual tour inside the lighthouse. My videographer is going to be behind me here taking these pictures. Please bear with us because the wind noise out here is pretty incredible. It's blowing about 20 to 25 out here, and we've got a storm on the horizon, so we're trying to monitor that a little bit as well. But follow me into the lighthouse.
This is the suspenseful part here.
We're going to start actually in the underbelly of the lighthouse where we've done all the work for the structure.
You can see the flag blowing straight out there.
By the way, make sure that we show them what Drew and Debbie, his new mate, look like. We're now in the underbelly of the lighthouse. This basically, if you look up, right up to the ceiling here, this was all covered with plywood up until 2 years ago. We took all the plywood down. This is all original from 1875. The beams beam here are original. All these cypress beams are original. This is what the steel looked like in 2019. We had a real problem with the steel. We raised about $400,000 and replaced all the steel out here. And as we got the job done, we found we had a cracked beam. This is the cracked beam that was underneath the curbing, and we had to replace that as well. But this is one of the tie rods. You can see the condition of the tie rod and what they look like now. Pretty amazing difference. This lighthouse is our pride and joy. This is a screw pile lighthouse. This is the very first pile they put in. This is very deep to the seabed, 22 feet, with a 3-foot round auger underneath of it. There are actually 12 of these screw piles out here. You can only see 6 of them, but there are actually 12 out here. So we're going to get upstairs into the lighthouse itself and show you our crown and joy of what we've done with this lighthouse. Watch your heads, everybody. on the phone here, watch your head. Going up.
Yep.
There we go, inside. So here we are in the sitting room of this lighthouse. This beautiful sitting room is actually about 1900, representing about 1900. We are a National Historic Landmark. As you can see by this plaque, we're one of only about 11 lighthouses in the country that have this designation, which we're very proud of. This floor is all original. The walls are all original. All of these artifacts in here were brought in by our curator who tried to emulate 1900 for this lighthouse. So the lighthouse keepers would have done a lot of things like play cards. They would have gambled. They would have made puzzles. But what they really like to do more than anything else, read books. So this is number 157 of 300 United States Lighthouse Service libraries. They went from lighthouse to lighthouse. They weren't able to pick the volumes that they wanted, but they would read voraciously, and they'd read everything that they got. After about 6 weeks or 7 weeks, this would be shipped down to the next lighthouse. You get an all new volume of books. This is the oldest picture we have of the lighthouse. This is 1886, before the rocks were put around the lighthouse. You can see they have 2 John boats that they used to get to shore. They had a lighthouse bell for fog bell, which is no longer exists in here. We don't know what happened to our bell. We had a visit with Jimmy Buffett at the lighthouse in 2020. He looked at this Victrola and said, "Oh my God, that's an original Victrola." He said, "I have got to do a song with this as a prop." So he sat in one of his chairs and did a song right here in this room for us. I had him here for 3 hours. He was a complete gentleman, but he took this, opened it up, and actually did a song called Costa Per Se, which you can go on YouTube, find that song, and still listen to it. So listing of all of our lighthouse keepers here, all the way going back to 1875 when the lighthouse initially was built. This lighthouse, by the way, was built in kit form and shipped down from Baltimore and put on top of the pedestal of screw piles that we have. Going to the next room here, we are going now from 1900 to 1975. This room is the mechanical room, or the maintenance room, if you will, for the lighthouse service. The Coast Guard used this with a big generator in here. This is what it looked like when we started here in 2004. You can see the difference that we've made here is pretty profound. All of this work has been done by volunteers. All of our efforts are with skilled volunteers and laborers. The one in that, the windows in 2007 from Joe. So all of the windows and doors were replaced here by our volunteers. They were all donated to us. So when we're out here doing preservation work, there is no hardware store. So we can't really easily go out and buy stuff. So we have made our own hardware store, and here is our hardware store. Everything that we need for preservation activities is inside this closet. So we don't have to go back ashore and get more material every time we start working on our project. We do not have electricity out here, but we do have a generator, so we can power saw and things like that, vacuum cleaner, in order to get power. But everything is done manually out here. The lighthouse had no power from 1875 to 1939. Coast Guard merged with the Lighthouse Service in 1939, brought power out here. But then when they automated this lighthouse in 1980s, they took the power out. This was the last manned lighthouse on the Chesapeake Bay. Let's go even further back in time now. This is the kitchen circa 1875. This is what this kitchen looked like during the Coast Guard era. So you can see that you had your grandmother's old cabinets in there. They had power, so they had a stove. They had running water at one point, but they used a lead pipe. So very quickly the lead pipe closed up. So they ended up using this water tank over here to bring the water in from shore and fill that water tank up. This is an original stove from the lighthouse day. It's called a 17-plate stove. Why 17 plates? Because it comes apart very easily so that they can bring it up. Heavy stoves would not work very well trying to get them up the stairs to this lighthouse. The other really cool thing here is that the provision list that we have, they had 26 pounds of pickles per year, and they had 364 ounces of coffee per year. This is 1 ounce of coffee. You use all year long out of coffee every day. I don't think so, particularly when you have to go up in the night every 4 hours and put kerosene in the lamp. Couple of artifacts here. This is a Lighthouse Service tablecloth, original tablecloth with embroidery with the logo from Lighthouse Service, which is really pretty cool. We also have some dinnerware here that was originally donated by family, the keepers from this lighthouse. And we have all sorts of little accoutrements in here that have been brought in. One of them I'm going to point out, most of you don't know what Old Bay is probably, but Old Bay is a seasoning that we use here in our crabs on the Chesapeake Bay. This is Zatarain's. This predates Old Bay. Old Bay wasn't made until 1902. So this is what they used to use for their crabs. And they got plenty of crabs out here. They could have all the seafood they wanted here. Fish, crabs, oysters, they got it all out here. Fact is, they kind of got tired of seafood after a while. So going now to 1986. This is the room, the Coast Guard room. You can see the pea green walls in here are original from 1986. This is a picture of what it looked like in 1986, the last year of when they automated this lighthouse. And you'll see they have two clocks on the wall there. We also have two clocks on the wall. That means that they're monitoring local time as well as Zulu or Greenwich Mean, because military broadcasts are done in Greenwich Mean. This room is where they would have spent during the Coast Guard era, 2 men down here and 2 men upstairs asleep. And they would have switched out and typically had 12-hour shifts, long shifts. This is our tribute to Jimmy Buffett, who was here in 2020. We're also going to give him a huge benefit at our event on August the 9th, 2025 at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis. And we're very excited about that because it's going to be a great event. So we are located right there on the Chesapeake Bay. If you look at that and you go due south to the mouth of the bay, it's 125 miles of fetch. So that fetch means we get big waves out there. We can typically use sometimes 8-foot waves. We've had our pickets on the first floor stairs be blown out by waves hitting. This is Annapolis right here. And we're just outside of Annapolis. We're 1.5 miles offshore. The shoal comes all the way out from Thomas Point to this lighthouse with 7 feet of water on the west side of the lighthouse and about 20 feet of water on the east side of the lighthouse. So I'm going to take, one other thing I wanted to mention to you. This is a bookshelf from the Coast Guard area. This was empty with no books on it when we came out here. Fortunately, we had a picture from 1986. Somebody had given us a picture of the volumes of books that were on this. How close did we get?
Pretty good job.
From a preservationist is be as accurate as possible. Henry Gonzalez went out on eBay, bought all these volumes and put them up here. So it's almost identical to what it was in 1986. We're now going to go upstairs and see the second deck. Come with me here. So this is a fourth order Fresnel lens. This is what we used to have here. This lens was actually removed from the lighthouse in 1986 when they automated it because they were concerned about losing it. This is worth about $1.5 million and they didn't want to leave it out here. So it's now in the Coast Guard Commander's office in Curtis Bay in the Chesapeake Bay. And this Fresnel lens, this fourth order, with a very small wick or a small 15-watt bulb, would shine out for 12 miles. Now we have a VRB 26 upstairs that shines out, if we're lucky, about 2 miles. This is our example of what that light does for the tourists who come in here. We basically take, and this is what the VRB 26 looks like upstairs, right there. So what that does is it allows the body of light in this chamber to go through that lens and make a pinpoint on the back side. So this is where the light comes from upstairs from the light. And this, by the way, is operating light. It's a age of navigation. The Coast Guard still maintains this light. They're responsible for working on the light and making sure it works. This is a bulb changer. It's a patented Coast Guard bulb changer. This is designed so that if a filament burns out, it automatically rotates into the next one. The theory behind that is every bulb should last for 2 months. So over the course of 12 months, the light stays lit and they just come out once a year and replace all bulbs. We were honored to have a forever stamp. This is our forever stamp along with Harbor of Refuge, Erie Harbor, Montauk Point, and Navistink. But this is ours, and this was done in 2021. You can still buy these on USPS.gov. NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, has a weather station here. And anywhere in the world, you can find out what the weather is doing out here at any given point in time. That's all done through this box and a receiver or sender that sends to a geo satellite and tells us what the weather is, both the temperature, the airspeed, the wind speed, and the gusts, and the humidity. So that's all done here 24/7, 365. And you can always find that weather report. This is a rather unique closet that I'm about to open. This closet goes all the way down to the first floor. This is actually a closet designed for a weight system for the fog bell that used to be here. So this game oil changer would have a wire on this drum that would go down with weights, and this would be wound up. And then when you have to look out and see if it's foggy, it's foggy, so you click it and make sure it's going to go. And this will start rotating, and it will hit that bell every 30 seconds, 3 times. Every lighthouse on the Chesapeake Bay had a different tone. So if you've got a chart and you're a captain and you want to go to Baltimore in foggy conditions from the mouth of the bay, which is over 200 miles, you just listen to the fog horn and you can figure out where you are. All right. Temporary lapse here. So this is our kerosene station right here. All of the kerosene would be brought up from the corral in this and then transferred this container right here, which is a 4-hour supply of kerosene for the light upstairs. It's got a lead lining on here, so if there ever leaks, it goes into the lead. It doesn't go through to the ceiling below. Now, we're going to take you to our crown and joy of the lighthouse. We're going to go upstairs outside. I can't guarantee you that you're going to hear much because it'd be very windy up. You making it, pork chop?
Yeah.
So that is the VRB 26. And you are now looking out at the gallery level of the Chesapeake Bay. So if you look around here, you can see the red patterns for the zones that show red lights. And then you can see the light zones here. Look north, you can see the Chesapeake Bay. Now Chesapeake Bay Bridge, but this is the spot where you can see all the horizon wherever you are. This is a foghorn. When the fog bell was removed, they put a foghorn in. This foghorn worked until 2016. At that point, it was taking too much energy off the batteries, so they shut the foghorn down by unplugging. This is our flag base here.
Flying the Annapolis flag, Maryland flag, and United States flag.
And then way up high here is our NOAA weather station. But Pork Chop, come over here just a little bit further and get the peak of the. First of all, there are a ton of lanternflies up there. I don't know if you can see them, but that is our lightning arrestor, a lightning rod, if you will. You see it's bent 45 degrees. It's actually been hit by lightning so many times that it's actually bent it, and it grounds all the way down to the Chesapeake Bay's bottom through a series of straps in the lighthouse. But this whole area right through here, we've got a couple of paints we're about to replace out here. The rest of them are all glazing with brand new. All these ones here through here. But this is just such an amazing place. Up here, it's very special. So how are we doing, Jeremy?
We're doing great. I can hear you 95% of the time.
Okay.
It's almost 7:30 here, so time-wise we're doing great. But
All right, good.
yeah, the good news is we're hearing you almost all the time. Even up
Almost
there.
all of them.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to look further to the west here? This little piece of land over here, I'm pointing to Thomas Point. That's the official piece of land. It was owned by Philip Thomas. It was deeded to him by the King of England in 1675. He has, obviously, his family still lives in the area, which is pretty amazing. But the first Thomas Point Lighthouse, see that point of light, they're way too far in for where our shoal is here. So they finally, by 1875, moved it down here. Let me get out of this wind a little bit here and talk about our 150th anniversary. It's a great feat for us to make it 150 years. A lot of time and effort in the last 20 years has gone to preserve and maintain this lighthouse and bring it back to the stellar condition that it's in right now. We are so excited. On August the 9th, we have the 150th anniversary party. We have a special band by the Eastport Oyster Boys, a catered meal. It's going to be a really great event. If you're interested in coming, we still have a few tickets left. You can go to thomaspoint150th.com. That's thomaspoint150th.com and buy tickets for the event. It's going to be a great event. Henry Gonzalez is one of our speakers. We have several congresswomen and several mayors speaking for us. It will be quite an event, and I can't stress enough how much fun it's going to be. We have a silent auction and a live auction going on, and a wine pool with 150 bottles of wine. For $20, you can get a bottle of wine that may have a value of up to $400. So it's worth coming to. So I just wanted to point out one other thing, Pork Chop, if you can point to this here. This is a bird spider. The bird spider was supposed to rotate and keep the seagulls off, but if you look at the roof, you can see that the osprey don't pay much attention to the bird spiders. Our problem is no longer seagulls, our problem now is osprey.
Sticks and whatnot, trying to build nests.
In the wintertime, we have a flock of cormorants come through here. Cormorants can be just as bad as the osprey. But we are dealing with an influx of lanternflies, which are all over the lighthouse tonight for some reason. And a lot of big spiders. There's a spider here eating a lanternfly, having a feast. And another one here eating a lanternfly. So that's a good thing, right?
Oh yeah, invasive.
Right. We also have over here a bird squawker. This bird squawker is made by BirdX, and it actually sends out the distress signal of an injured seagull, and that supposedly keeps a lot of the birds at bay. But right now, our time. Let's go back inside and get out of this thing. So, Okay, come down here. And we'll try to get to a point here where we can answer the. Okay, work it up.
Oh, yeah. Cameraman never dies.
Good job, Pork Chop. We're getting a little bit of lag as you went down, but I think it's okay now. Yeah.
All right, so here is an interesting little display. This is a display of Fanny Salter. Fanny Salter was a lighthouse keeper's spouse, lived at this lighthouse in the northern part of the Chesapeake Bay called Turkey Point. And this house is where they lived. And for 19 years, she lived with her husband and raised a family in that house. Her husband up and died. And so she petitioned Congress to take his job, and Congress turned her down. So she appealed that, and she appealed it to President Calvin Coolidge. And he reversed it and said, sure, you can be a lighthouse keeper. So Fanny Salter has the distinction of being one of the first female lighthouse keepers, and followed by 300 other lighthouse keepers, female lighthouse keepers over the years. So we really have, we're paying this tribute to Fanny as being part of the revolution of females in our lighthouse culture. This right here is a hatch that goes all the way down from the second deck to the first deck. This was put in by the Coast Guard so they could get beds up here, because the spiral staircase that we came up on is not suitable to bring a bed up. So they put in this hatch in 1986. Here's another interesting piece here. This was all covered with carpet tile at one time, when the Coast Guard was up here using this as a dormitory. And when we pulled the carpet tile and refinish this floor, these two pieces of plywood, panel square pieces of plywood were here. This is the old vents where they used to bring the heat up from the kitchen. Well, I thought that looked pretty crappy, so I hired an artist to come in and paint those to make them look like floorboards. So they're not real floorboards, they're actually just painted to look like floorboards. That's the extent of what we do with preservation, is try to make it so realistic that it's normal. All right, so we are at 30 minutes. Let's get back. Let's get some downstairs. Careful, Portia. So we're back now in the Coast Guard room. And this is where they would have done all their work. They would have kept logs, they would have maintained ship traffic, they would have maintained the radio, and everything that would have been done here would have been the reality of what a Coast Guard station would do at a light station. So let's see if there's any questions yet, Jeremy.
I think we've got some here. I'll just hit the chat.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth just asked, how can I get a lighthouse stamp from Thomas Point from my passport, my US LHS passport? Do you do them by mail, John?
Best way to do it is send an email. That's jpotvin48@gmail.com. jpotvin48@gmail.com. I have the stamp on both. I have a special commemorative stamp this year that has 150 years on it, and then a normal one. And if somebody's looking for those, I would like to get it.
You're kind of cutting out a bit, John, so I'm not sure we got the email address. I don't know if you can, the sound was kind of cutting out as you were saying that. JPOTV as in Victor, Yeah.
IN 48 at
gmail.com. Okay, I'm putting it in the chat too. Okay.
Okay, good. So if somebody sends that to me and gives me their address, I can send them a stamp.
You're sideways, John. I'm not sure why, but there it is. Okay. Okay. I was getting a little dizzy there, but now you're good.
I think my videographer pushed the wrong button.
Maybe he was
Slacking
sideways.
off.
Yeah.
So David, is there anything you want to add that we haven't touched on?
I just think everybody should come see it. You've seen it on the Zoom now, but it's just so cool in person. Everybody should come out and take a look.
I definitely agree.
Natasha?
I agree with David. It's nothing until you get out here to actually see it and experience it. I've been a volunteer. I'm in my 3rd year, and I absolutely love coming out, whether it's for preservation or tours. I love it. I'm Maryland born and raised, and this lighthouse is iconic Maryland, and it represents everything I love about the state.
And I don't know if you can, if they can see it or not, because it's kind of bright and kind of dark on one side, but the views from here are amazing. You can see the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in one direction, park in another direction.
Bloody Point Lighthouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll mention is that we run tours from June the 1st until October the 19th. One of the things we do is take 14 people in the morning and 14 in the afternoon on weekends. We really enjoy doing the tours. We have trained docents to come out and a safety officer, and boat captain, and everything else. So it's a full-fledged trip. Takes 30 minutes to get out to the lighthouse. We spend about an hour and a half on the lighthouse. And our payment is everybody coming off the tour has a smile on their face. And that's what tells us that we're telling a story that people really, really appreciate, because everybody comes off with a smile.
Whoop. I think we just lost our feed here. Huh. Well, anybody want to sing a song or sell some jokes? Hopefully they'll come back on. But anyway, I was going to say a couple of things about stuff being said in the chat. I was also going to say, I was going to kind of concur with everything they're saying about how great it is to visit there. When I went out there last year at sunset, I've been doing lighthouse stuff for about 40 years, and that was I'd say in my top 10 lighthouse visits ever. Absolutely incredible. So impressed by the work done out there. I'm watching for.
Right. Yeah, we're back on. Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
What was that email?
Yeah.
I posted John's email address. Yeah. I posted his email address in the chat. You should be able to, if you click on your chat, you should be able to see it.
Okay.
Posted a little while ago.
Thank you.
J48@gmail.com. But I was just telling them, John, how incredible it was when I visited there last year, and how it's one of in my 40 years of doing lighthouse stuff, I'd put it in my top 10 lighthouse experiences, which is saying something. Yeah.
I have a miniature one here at home with all my other lighthouses.
Do we have any questions from?
There were a couple more questions in the chat. Our friend Josh Liller from Jupiter Lighthouse in Florida says, why was Thomas Point Shoal automated so much later than most of the other Chesapeake Bay screw pile cottage lights? That's a good question.
Since I was part of the automation, Jeremy, I have the answer to that question.
Oh, that's Dan May, retired Rear Admiral Dan May of the Coast Guard.
Yes, I can tell you why. The Coast Guard had wanted to automate it in the early 80s, but there was a question from the public about weather data. One of the most important things, and John knows this very well, one of the most important things Thomas Point keepers did, and Coast Guard personnel, was to take weather observations and report those real time. So when the Coast Guard wanted to automate it, the local boaters and yacht clubs and everyone in that area, as you can imagine, that's a pretty influential area. They objected, and they told the Coast Guard, we don't want you automating it because we like to get on our radio. We like to call out to the keeper and say, hey, what's your weather, before we get underway. So for 4 or 5 years, the Coast Guard kept the station manned until 1986, when the Coast Guard said, we've got a solution. We're going to partner with NOAA. And it just so happens, I was with the 5th District during those early 80s, and then I went off to grad school and then came back to work for NOAA with the Coast Guard. And lo and behold, in 1986, I was part of the crew that went up to Thomas Point, and that box that John showed you, I helped install that along with a bunch of NOAA and Coast Guard folks. and we got it automated. And as John pointed out, now the weather data is available 24/7 on a website. And once the Coast Guard was able to do that and relieve the local folks that the weather data would be available, then everyone agreed, okay, you can automate it now. So that's how it all happened.
Mm-hmm. I think we may have lost,
Dan.
whoop, who's speaking now?
Oh, that was me. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Well, I hope you heard all that.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
did.
seeing I'm not seeing your picture, John.
If you guys start
Not sure.
talking. right there.
I'm not
Oh,
sure
it's
what, oh, there you are. Oh, no, it's Dan. There,
If I'm
there you
talking, you
are.
probably-
Okay, now you're back. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, you
Yep.
have to keep talking, I guess.
Well, yeah, yeah.
The other
So
thing I
thank you.
might add to what Dan said there is that there was no internet back in the day. There were no web services back in the day. There were no geo satellites back in the day. So the advent of technology allowed them to be able to broadcast this on a much wider worldwide basis than what was available before that.
Mm-hmm. Looking for more questions in the chat. By the way, at the beginning, I said that it's the only cottage style screw pile lighthouse still in its original location anywhere. And somebody pointed out rightfully that there's the so-called Middle Bay light in Mobile Bay. It's a screw pile light.
Except that that light was moved.
Was it? Because they talked
Yeah.
about moving it to shore. It was never moved to shore, but it's
But
not in its
still-
original
still
location?
out- Yeah, I think it's still out in the bay, but it's my understanding they actually had to move that at one point, and that's why we say this is the one still standing in its original location.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go. So I was right the first time. Thank you. But it's always tricky to make absolute statements about lighthouses. Somebody will question you. But
Oh.
anyway, yeah. So refresh my memory, John. How many cottage style screw pile lighthouses were built in the Chesapeake Bay?
Oh, great question, Jeremy. There were 40 built in the
Mhm.
bay. And many of them were carted away on ice floes because ice was a constant danger of screw pile lighthouses. Some were burned off and some were dismantled by the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
There are 3 screw pile lighthouses now onshore in museums, one in St. Michael's at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, one in Solomon's Island at the Calvert Marine Museum, and one in downtown Baltimore, of all
Yeah.
places, at the Harbor Front.
Yeah.
But those are land-based.
Yes. Yeah, I saw 3 of those in my trip last year. They're all great, but you've got the best, and not just because it's in its original location, but because it's so lovingly restored. I can't say enough about it.
No, I think that the one thing I can say is that the people that work out here are a special breed of people. They take great pride in what they do out here, and I'm never disappointed when I see what they do. I maybe have 1 or 2 painters that might get a little exuberant at times, but we always appreciate our volunteers and what they do out here. And like I say, none of us get paid for this. We do this the sheer love of this lighthouse.
Yeah. Linda has a question. Does anyone know if and when the Lighthouse Challenge, I guess that would be the Maryland Lighthouse Challenge, will return? It was
Yeah,
such
I
fun.
do know that. Yep, it's
Okay.
actually coming up in 2026 to coincide with the quintennial for the nation's birthday. Be September of 2026.
Mhm.
More information will follow from the chapter website for the Chesapeake chapter of the U.S. Lighthouse Society.
Great. Whoops. I just had found another question, then I lost it. Somebody was asking, said, could you show the bedrooms and the privy? Well, I think, yeah, I'll let you answer that question, John.
This room, which is the Coast Guard radio room, was the assistant keeper's bedroom here in the day. But when we were upstairs, you saw almost alcoves where I was showing that Fresnel lens display. Those were the bedrooms. They were actually up in alcoves, dormers, where the dormers are right now. Let's take you and show you the privy. That's a good.
Okay.
You gotta see the privy,
I guess. Wow, nice sunset. There we
All
go.
right, so here we go. Are you still there?
Yep.
The privy.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah,
That is the
very
perfect.
good. Ask and you shall receive.
There you go.
Does
Thank you.
anybody ever get to go out there and protect the lighthouse like out here in Washington State?
Ask that
Um,
question again.
Hold on, I'll say it again here. I can hear you.
Was the question, does anybody get to spend the night here?
Me.
No. The answer is, in the day when we had preservation activities going on 24/7, we did have some of our preservation spend the night out here. But this lighthouse has no power. It has no facilities, no restroom. It has no cooking facilities. It's not hospitable to spend the night on. So the answer is no. Nobody comes out and spends the night out here.
All right,
Yeah.
out here in Washington, we have the new Dungeness Spit Lighthouse that's 5 miles out on a point, and we send people out there every week to protect it because people are destroying it.
That's terrible. That's terrible. We had a case here for vandalism in the lighthouse in 2016, and they took this TV and threw it out of the lighthouse onto the rocks down below. Howard Lewis and his wife pulled it up and used super glue to repair it in the very top. But, vandalism is a constant concern. So we now have a security camera system. Since we have no power out here, the security camera
Good.
system is based on cell service.
whoop. Froze, John. Oh, yeah. We may have momentarily lost the connection again here. John is frozen. I was going to read this question from Jason in the chat, talking about the tall lighthouses on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and he says, as one faded, the next would come into view as guiding ships up the coast, which was true on all the coast. The Lighthouse Service tried to make it so you were never out of sight of a light. Do the lights work the same way up the bay? And if so, which lights are the closest neighbors? I think the answer is yes. John would be a better person to answer.
Okay,
that.
We dropped out there. We're back.
We're back.
Good. Yeah. You froze there.
Repeat that question real quick.
Yeah, somebody is asking about, saying how in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, they have the tall lighthouses and the lights are seen like more than 20 miles. And you're never out of sight of one of those lights. As one, leave the sight of one, you see another one. So he's wondering if the lights work the same way in the bay. If so, which lights are the closest to Thomas Point?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer is none of the lights on the Chesapeake Bay have first order Fresnel lenses. All the coastal lights would have first order Fresnel lenses. So their lights are going out 25 miles. In our case, we're dealing with much PRB 26s, which put a minimum amount of light out. There are a series of lights that still work on the bay, and you can go from one to the next. For instance, we go from here to Baltimore Light, but I can tell you the Sandy Point Light, which is the next light up, is dark. I can tell you that the Bloody Point Light, which is the next light south, is dark. So it's really catch can. Not all the lights are working. We have about 28 working lights on the bay compared to the heyday of the 19th century when we had 65 lights on the bay.
Wow.
Somebody said, ask John about cistern.
Yeah.
Okay, the cistern is where the water is kept. Let's go take a look at it.
A lot of people
At
saying
one
nice.
time, there were 4 cisterns and they're all fed from a gutter system in the roof. The water would come in here. This is about 500 gallons. There's another one on the other side of the lighthouse. It's 200 gallons. This is their drinking water. This is their cooking water. This is their bathing water. All of the water came from here. There was only a very brief period of time when a water line from the shore was brought in out here.
Mm-hmm. Did they have one of those systems where they would divert the water from the gutters to wash off the bird stuff before it would go into the cistern?
Yes, Jeremy, there was a valve on the roof that would shut it off so that the bird poop would be washed off in the first flow of the rain, and then they would go and open it up, theoretically, so that they wouldn't get bird poop in the water. But
right,
it didn't always work as effectively as they hoped. That's why if you look at the bottom here, they had valves on this that they could cleanse the water, because most of the debris and solids go to the bottom of the tank, and then they would just turn those off.
Yeah, I've heard stories about how the keepers would clean out the cistern completely, like maybe once a year, and they wouldn't necessarily tell their family about what they found in there. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories about this lighthouse. One of the stories I find fascinating is that this was one of the first lighthouses that the Coast Guard put an incinerator toilet in. And basically, you can imagine what that does. It incinerates everything. It goes up a smokestack on the outside environment. Well, when it went up, it actually landed on the roof. Well, where do you think their water was coming from? So they very quickly realized that they were polluting their own water, so they discontinued the incinerator very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, John, I just want to tell you that people are making a lot of really nice comments on how much they've enjoyed this. People who say, some people saying they've got to get out there and see it in person. Other people saying they'll never be able to make it there, so that they're really enjoying this. It's a chance to see it. And I think everybody realizes that you do something like this, it's not going to be perfect technically. It's just not. That's just not. Some people might remember an event we did from Graves Lighthouse in Boston Harbor, where the owner, Dave Waller, greeted us in uniform in the lighthouse, and he was cutting in and out, but it was just so much fun. And this is great. And like I said, we've heard you 95% of the time, so it's worked out very well.
Yeah, and the nice thing that he did is he dressed in costume. I wish I had done the same.
Do you have a uniform? Do you have one of those
No,
uniforms?
not yet,
Oh,
not yet. But
you
what I
should.
am threatening to do, by the way, this is kind of a laugh. I'm threatening to get a skeleton and put it in the privy with its pants down. So when somebody opens that door, they get a shock of their life.
I like it. You got to do that. That would have been perfect for this, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, just I don't think
we are back in the sitting room. I do want to show you that this is they actually had drawings of the lighthouse all prepared, and we have all the original drawings from this lighthouse as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'm seeing a lot of nice comments. I don't think I'm seeing any other. Oh, here's one. We love our mission. My chat is jumping around because people are entering stuff so fast. Somebody's saying they have a lot of great lighthouses in Michigan. I'm just wondering if we're going to do more of these tours. And the answer is yes. We don't have any scheduled now, but it's always, it's always a little bit of a roll the dice technically, but we do plan to do more. Certainly. We've got a couple of events in the works that are, one is with a photographer in France, actually two with photographers in France that we plan to do. I just was with the USLHS tour in France for most of the month of June, so made some connections there. And also an artist we're going to do an event with, that's probably going to be in October, who has done books of lighthouse sketches and is really good. So watch for those. But as far as lighthouse tours, we'll do more, I'm sure, but nothing scheduled at the moment. Somebody says, outstanding tour. Great job by John, Jeremy, Pork Chop, and crew. Pork Chop, good cinematography there.
Thank you. We all thank you.
What was
I
that?
think they're saying, Pork Chop, that you're hired. You're
That's why I get the medium bucks.
Well, Jeremy, we're going to
Anyway,
close
almost-
down. We got to get
Yep.
the flags down and close this lighthouse before the storm hits. Thank you
Yeah.
all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully Jeremy can put another program together.
Thank
with another
you.
lighthouse like this. And we really do enjoy what we do. And that's why we are very appreciative that you allowed us to take you on this virtual tour. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, John. People are applauding for you. So thank you so much. It was
Thanks,
fantastic.
John and Jeremy.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon, John. So I'm gonna just
All right,
wrap things
bye.
up. Whoop. I'm gonna wrap things up fairly quickly here. See you, John. So thank you all. And I have to say I'm a little bit relieved because you never know how things are going to go with an event like this. And it wasn't perfect all the time, but I think you all understand how these things are, and I'm very pleased. And John is not only a great preservationist and manager, but he's an excellent tour guide too. I know because I got a tour from him when I was there. So I'll just mention a couple of things. First of all, for those of you who are new to the U.S. Lighthouse Society, be sure to look at the website, uslhs.org, learn more about what the society does. There are preservation grants, there's a research catalog, there's the quarterly journal, the Keeper's Log. There's the passport program, of course. I think probably just about everybody here knows about the passport program, and lots of other things too. So check that out. Check out the U.S. Lighthouse Society YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please take a look at that. Just get on YouTube and do a search for USLHS. There's a lot of stuff on there, including the half-hour video of the France tour that I just posted a couple of days ago. I had a lot of fun putting it together. And the podcast, again, is Lighthearted, 2 words, as in people have lighthouses in their hearts, light, space, hearted. And I've done 300, I'm on episode 323 at this point. You can hear it on any podcast app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever, or at uslhs.org. So I think that's pretty much everything I want to mention at the moment. Again, thank you so much. We will be doing more of these events. There may not be anything in August and September, but there's 3 in the works for a little bit later in the fall. So keep an eye out for email notifications and so forth. So thank you all to all my friends here and my new friends. Great to see you all. And we'll see you around the lighthouses. And take care, everybody. Keep a good light. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.